and welcome again to this standing committee no public hearing. On behalf of the members of the Standing Committee on Executive Appointment and Government Investigation, we would like to welcome Governor Torres Representative Ms. Jackie King, the appointee Ms. Vinnie Atalik Hokuk, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we proceed forward with this public hearing, let me first introduce the members of this committee. To my immediate right is the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Vinny Sablan from the 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan. And to my left is the Vice Chairman of this committee, Senator Victor B. Hokuk from the 1st Senatorial District, Rota. And I'm the Chairman of this committee, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz from the 2nd Senatorial District, Tinian. I would also like to announce a couple of things in the interest of informational purposes regarding Code of Conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members of this committee are conducting a public hearing on the appointment of Mr. Vinnie Atalik Hokuk to serve as a member of the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation Board of Directors representing the island of Rota. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support or oppose the appointee before us this morning. We value your input. However, any comments beyond the facts of the appointee or comments that are not directly related with this hearing will not be entertained. And such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimal noises in disrupting this hearing process, and please turn your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. Let us now begin. This public hearing is now in session. Today is July 15, 2022 at approximately 11:29 in the morning here at Rota Mayor's Office Conference Hall, Tatatsuk, Rota. This is a public hearing regarding the appointment of Mr. Vinnie Atalik Hokuk by Governor Torres to serve as a member of the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation Board of Directors, pursuant to Public Law 20-87 and Executive Order 2020-21. Mr. Evan Odeven Macaronis will be our clerk, assisted by Ms. Jolene Tagabel. Mr. John Santos will be our Sergeant at Arms. Mr. Jonathan Diaz will be covering social media. And Mr. Joe Moody's will be our legal counsel and will all serve accordingly for this public hearing. At this time, I would like to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Victor B. Hokuk.
Okay, yeah.
Senator Carl R. King Neighbors. Senator Justo S. Kitagwet. Senator Vinny F. Sablan.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, 3 members are present, 2 members are absent.
Thank you, Mr. Macaronis. With 3 members present, we have the necessary number to proceed with this public hearing. However, the Vice President of the Senate, Senator J.Q. or Justo Kitagwet, and Senator Carl King Neighbors are both excused for this hearing. At this time, we'd like to entertain a motion to adopt our agenda. There's a motion for the adoption of our agenda for this particular hearing and was seconded. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to ask Sergeant Arm to please escort the appointee and the governor's rep to the podium. And again, ma'am, before you proceed, please state your name for the record.
Hofday and good morning, Chairman Cruz and the honorable members of this committee, Mayor Ephraim Atalik, and everyone that are here present today. For the record, my name is Joaquina King, Governor's representative under the Office of the Governor. I'm here on behalf of Governor Ralph Delongoro Torres to formally introduce Mr. Vinnie Atalik Hokuk, the governor's nominee to serve as a member on the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation representing the 1st Senatorial District. By this time, you should have in your possession Mr. Vinny Atalik Hokuk's resume describing his professional experiences and education. I know he stands ready to answer your questions and report on his plan for the future. Therefore, on behalf of Governor Ralph Delon Guerrero Torres, I humbly request for your support and favorable decision in confirming the appointee to serve as a member on the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation. Thank you, Jesus Masi Giliso, for the opportunity to introduce Mr. Vinny Atalik Hokuk to this august body.
Thank you, Ms. King. At this time, I'd like to ask the appointed to please rise and raise your right hand so the clerk can administer the oath.
Mr. Vinny Atalik Hokuk, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, clerk. Mr. Atalik, we received all the required documents from you. But if you have anything else that wish to share with us this morning, you have the floor. But before you proceed, please state your name for the record.
Good morning, Senators. My name is Vinny Antonio Ignacio Cruz Songo Atalik Hokuk, and just thank you for this opportunity to be here. And I hope to continue to serve the people of the CNMI to the best of my ability.
Thank you, sir. And before I allow the members of the public in the gallery that are here to deliver testimony, first I would like to recognize those departments that are invited to participate. First on the list, the Honorable Mayor Efren Atalik from the Municipality of Rhoda. And again, sir, before you proceed, state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Frank Cruz, Vice Chair Victor Hokuk, and also Floor Leader Vinny Sablan, Legal Counsel, staffs, media, and also Sergeant at Arms. Welcome to the island of Florida. Mr. Chairman, I'm very happy at this point that the Governor Ralph Delon Guerrero, reappointed or nominated Vinny Atalik Hokuk to be a board member of the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation. The governor himself is very confident that Mr. Vinny Hokuk perform his job very well, and therefore he is re-nominated. Vinny, as we all know, is very young, educated, and very professional on his jobs. And therefore, I really ask of this body to really expedite his confirmation so that he can move forward, we all can move forward to solve the issues facing the CNMI. So that's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman. This is very simple. He's being re-nominated, so I ask of this body to please expedite his confirmation so we all can move forward with his nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Atalik. The 18 Rota Municipal Council, any member?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Senate Floor Leader, Senator Vinny Sablan. And good morning to everyone that are here today. My name is Jim Michael Atalik, and I am the Secretary for the 18 Rota Municipal Council. Okay, and we're here to your renomination for Mr. Vinny Hokuk I am very confident that Mr. Vini Hukuk will continue to provide assistance to our community of Rota and the entire CNMI. He is a young individual and energetic. To make it short, I am humbly asking the body of this committee to please reconfirm Mr. Vini Sablan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atalik. I will allow the clerk to make correction on the last name of the appointee. Any other member of the 18 Rota Municipal Council, any other member that wishes to come forward? No one else? Mr. Jesse Palacios, the corporate director of the Northern Marianas College. Northern Marianas Housing Corporation.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Vice Chairman and the floor leader, and all the staff from the 22nd legislature. I'm here on behalf of our corporate director, Mr. Jesse S. Torres, Palacios, I'm sorry. Dear Chairman Cruz, it is an honor and with great pleasure that I have write this letter in support of the nomination of Mr. Vini Atali Oko to return and serve on the NMHC Board of Directors. It would be very advantageous for NMHC to have a member of the board who is currently in sitting, well, a board member, and on top of that, one who already knows the ins and outs of the agency as well as familiarity with the federal partners that provide NMHC with the funding for community and housing development programs. Mr. Atali Hokuk's familiarity with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is the HUD, the United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, USDA, RD, single-family housing, and the U.S. Treasury Law, income housing, tax credit, which is HIHTC, only means that he does not need a refresher course and will hit the ground running. Mr. Atalik Hokuk is a young and vibrant professional who brings a finance and accounting background to the table. He also brings younger perspective to the board and the agency. He is acutely aware of current events, both locally and internationally. Mr. Atali Hokuk was a member of the board when NMHC was putting together the preliminary requirements for CNMI to apply the CDBG-DR program, which became available when the President of the United States declared the CNMI a federal disaster area. As a member of this particular board, he and his other fellow board members were instrumental in the review and approval of NMHC's implementation plan and management, financial certification, and the eventual approval of HUD of the CNMI's action plan. As you know, as a result of the approval, the CNMI was given nearly $244 million in disaster funds to aid in the recovery of the onslaught brought forth by Super Typhoon funds at Super Typhoon U2. To reiterate, Mr. Atali Hokuk was part of the board when HUD awarded the funds to the CNMI, a huge accomplishment for the board and the agency acting on behalf of the CNMI to obtain the single largest grant in the history of CNMI. The NMHC Board of Directors plays an important role in ensuring that the CNMI spends the almost $244 million before the 6-year expiration date of November 2026. The board has to be ready to implement new programs or eliminate programs that are not working out. Mr. Atali Hokuk has always been supportive of the staff and management of NMHC and its vision and mission. He has the best interest of the island of Rota in his heart and understands the challenges facing Rota in terms of development. As we continue to ways to improve the life of the CNMI, especially for the islands of Rota and Tinian, we need board members who support what we do and who push us to go the extra mile to assist our low and moderate households in providing housing opportunities and community development to make the CNMI safe and resilient. Mr. Atali Hokuk is that person, and this is why I humbly ask this august body to recommend the approval for the confirmation of Mr. Vinny Atali Hokuk to continue serving on the NMHC Board of Directors. Jesse S. Palacios, Jesus Masi.
Thank you, sir.
I got one more. And on behalf of Mr. Arvin Siogo, sorry. I have one from Mr. Arvin Siogo, the Rota Field Representative. Dear Mr. Chairman Cruz, may this letter acknowledge for the record my unconditional support for the reappointment of Mr. Vinny Okuk to the Northern Marinas Housing Corporation Board. Mr. Okuk, through the years, has demonstrated his knowledge, passion, and commitment to bringing about the program and service of the agency. As a board member, he has proven core of leadership, professionalism, and resourcefulness to the community of CNMI. He has genuinely connected with the community, which reflects the great relationship the agency has with the people of CNMI. With the motivation and visions as a continued board member, we can continue to experience the economic activities and opportunities for the residential developments today. I want to take this opportunity to humbly ask you, Mr. Chairman, for your support and blessings in approving Mr. Hokuk's reappointment to the NMHC Board, and to all honorable Senate members. I humbly ask for your untiring support and approval for Mr. Hokuk to continue to serve as a board member for NMHC. Mr. Hokuk's continued service to the community will be greatly appreciated to all NMHC staff and the community of CNMI. Thank you again for your time and support. Respectfully, Mr. Arvin Siogo.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other members from the NMHC? Okay. Sir, can you repeat again your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is William A. Titan, working under the NMHC CDVGDR, construction inspector.
Thank you, sir. At this time, before I entertain again the members of the public, I would like to remind everyone that any comment that is raised that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At this time, the floor is open for public comment. Any members of the public that are here in the gallery wishes to come forward and deliver testimony, you feel free to come forward, whether you're in support or not in support. You're welcome to come forward, but before you proceed, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Buenos días. Inaanu si Martin T. Mendiola, private citizen of Rhoda. Za bumalintitia pag na ogan para by suporta renomination of Vinnie Atalig-Hukuk. Irason no pula na rason na husupuporta para umakonfirma si Vinnie taktigin na posisyon NMHC Board of Director. Uno, lahiyo si Vinnie za animo na podgod disya na dikiki agogad dididi lokya na law maulik custom brand niya seryoso gi responsabilidad niya za hatetendi maulik serbisyo na hakumitigi para utsogi para minaulig itaw-taw luta zan todo Marianas. Por eno na rason na hugagagaw suportasyon mizo za in sadidig basket jet na reconfirmation sa kosakyo continua maulik siya na sisona para muna para minaulik ifamagunta zan ifamagunta zan ekonomian Marianas enteramente. Pues, por favor, mga man tinani hafa, mga mausa hafa na rason, fuera de esta recomendación mami, na por favor, alulodzi como firma si Vinnie Atalig-Hukuk. Sa bulan na minaulik, mas megay zang yung tanay talut sansa zao continue maulik na sisonia gibord Northern Marianas Housing Corporation. Si Diyos masi za por favor mga man malefa na maulik na kandidato maulik si Tsotso niya tetendi responsabilidad niya sa muloki man malelefa na tididi pikaru po si Diyos masi todo samso.
This is Marcia, Mr. Atalig. Still open for public comment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Again, for the record, my name is Ivan Mayer. On my official capacity, I serve as an employee of the Board of Mayor's office. I come before you to say that I am full support of the governor's appointee. Just to share, I do have a personal working relationship with Mr. Vinnie. Mr. Vinnie is not only my guide, but my guru when I first took over the CIP projects on Rhoda with the federal projects with disaster and mitigation. With Vinnie's help, we first needed to establish the DUNS number for the municipality, followed by the upgraded UIE. And as well, I'd like to give credit to Mr. Josh Colville, one of the municipality's representative to the U.S. Treasury. All of this accumulate together because Vinnie stepped in and said, this is the route we need to go. I support Mr. Atalig-Hukuk's nominee as NMHC board only because this individual took the initiative to question the problem and find a solution. That is one of his biggest gifts. During this time with NMHC, I have seen a lot of capital improvement projects coming in for Rhoda. One most particular is during Typhoon Mangkhut. One of the biggest questions in most disaster recovery is where is Rhoda going to get the 75% matching costs? automatically, we want to thank all our friends and families at NMHC for reaching out and getting the CDBG DR that allowed us to apply and get qualified. These are the kind of forethoughts that we want the board to be fulfilled with. Folks like Vinny that takes the initiative to see a problem and find a solution. Just to give you the age gap, I am about 10 years his junior. Vinny is very younger than me, but yet it doesn't matter the age, the maturity. What matters is who comes to the table, who decides to solve the problem, and really who picks up the hardest work, which is getting everyone to the table. And that's Mr. Vinny. That's why I support him. I hope that his reappointment will set an example to future millennials, that if you have the pride, the condition to come in and be a boardsman, please do so and give back to the municipality. Sejos Masin, again, thank you, Vinny, for accepting. Sejos Masin.
Thank you, sir. Still open for public comment? Anyone else in the gallery? Like I mentioned, once we close public comment, we will not go back to public comment. So this is the opportunity for any member in the gallery. If no one else,
Oh, sorry. Buenos dias, Chairman, Vice, and Floor Leader, and all staff. As a member of the 18th Municipal Council, and on behalf of our people, Mr. Chairman, I'm urging you and Vice and all the members of this committee, please confirm Mr. Vinny Atali Hokuk for Board of Director for NMHC CDBGDR, representing Roda District. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Anyone else? No one else? Public comment is now closed at this time. Before I entertain the members to raise questions or concerns, I would like to ask Mr. Macronas to disclose letters that are submitted to the committee.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Senate EHI Committee, Mr. Atalik Hokuk, and members of the general public. In addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointment of Mr. Vinny Atalik Hokuk to serve as a member on the Northern Marianas Housing Corporation representing the 1st Senatorial District, please be advised of the additional written testimonies officially received in support of the appointee from Jesse Palacios, Corporate Director of Northern Marianas Housing Corporation, and Aubrey Hokuk, personal testimony. At this time, no written testimony in opposition to the appointment of the appointee has been received by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Macronas. At this time, I'd like to recognize the Vice Chairman of this committee from the island of Rota, Senator Victor B. Hokuk.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Vinny Atalik Hokuk, for accepting again your renomination to serve for additional 4 years. We have not been communicating about the grant that the NMHC have been holding. And today we would like to explore from your end the amount that is provided to NMHC under the DR grant. We would like to find out how much money was granted to NMHC to assist the community.
Thank you, Senator. So accumulated, it would be 254 million. So 244 for the first tranche, and we were able to get an additional 10 million.
So the 254 million, what would be the administrative cost out of that?
That would be 5% of the total. So there's, for planning and administration, 5% of the total. A little over 20 million.
So the balance of that grant is where the board of NMHC will consider eligibilities of who gets who or who gets what.
Yes, sir. So 125 million for housing development. There's another 100 million for I'm sorry, 8 million for economic development, and then 100 million for, I forget the name of the program, but I can get that to you. I think it's CIP.
Can you provide those information to the committee?
sir.
Out of this amount, 230 million, what have the board done to distribute some of the projects, and what are these projects that are being approved?
Okay.
And perhaps you can advise the committee, what is it that is before the board for consideration?
So CIP programs, a lot of those projects come from the municipalities themselves. So they submit projects that they would like to have paid for by that program, the CIP program, and that has to go through an approval process as well, which includes our federal partners. For the housing side, we have hit some bumpy roads, at least on the federal requirements, because they evolve over time, as well as our vendors. So some of the vendor requirements have to be hit, such as the green building standards. So we have to change our plans, make sure that it hits the federal requirements. And that's really the only reason why it hasn't been moving forward as quickly as we'd like.
You know, Mr. Atalik Hokuk, that we have a time limitation to expedite the expenditure of all this, no?
Yes, sir.
And do you feel that the remaining years to spend all this grant could be a 10 that will benefit those categories that you just mentioned?
So we do have till the end of 2026 to expend all the funding. And what the board and management have been trying to do with our staff is to push them to get the money out as quick as possible. But we also need the community to come out and apply for these loans as well. So Rhoda itself has less than five people who have applied, and that's really my focus, only because I'm a representative of Rhoda. I do know the numbers for Tinian and Saipan as well, but one of the things that I do know we need to push out is at least advertisement more. Public information seems to be something we need to give out to the people. So I am hopeful that we'll be able to expend the funds by 2026.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, but if the promotion and the opportunity for each municipality to understand how the CDBG-DR can be availed, it will be difficult for those that wanting to express the interest to submit application. And out of the 230 million, what percentage of commitment or expenditure have already been approved?
At this point, I don't have the number in my head at least, but I can get that answer and provide it to the committee as soon as possible. I'd have to contact management.
Please note that, and we'd like to see. And the reason why we're asking this is that we're trying to ensure that the time frame of the funding availability that our residents, our municipality will meet before they took back whatever balance there is that is unspent.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate more, Mr. Atalik Hokuk? What are the other programs that the community or the municipality will avail for this funding?
Outside of the housing programs, I'm pretty sure the economic development portion and the CIP is really set aside for the government to recover. And so the housing section is really for low income to moderate income households based off of the federal standards to build themselves back up or get a brand new house or rehabilitate their home. So at least from how I understand it, that's the only section. There's only one section where they can avail. Everything else is general.
So I think, for the interest of any interest party to avail to this, I think we should come out with more publicity. For example, this CDBG-DR, could it be made available to individuals that will be qualified to procure land, as they are probably authorized to procure housing and renovation? can this funding also be used to procure property to construct their dwelling house?
Yes, sir. So it would be part of their entire package, right? So if they don't have land yet, they can have whatever their loan package is, can include purchase of the land and construction of the new house.
Okay, so in the absence of continuous publicity, I would say safely no, saying that maybe those people wanting to avail for this are not being fed with the information that will inspire them to avail for this assistance.
So we've had conversations with the Rhoda team, at least here, and I know that the Saipan reps and Tinian reps have had these conversations with their staff. But the staff on Rhoda do go door to door, at least from what they've told me, and some comments from the public. It's, I think, the idea of the word loan that throws people off. And so maybe helping them understand the affordability period and what that means for people coming in to apply for the loan will help them relieve their worry about what it means to get a loan to build a new house.
So would it be a good recommendation to consider is, for example, you as a representative for the island of Rhoda and whoever the staff is with this NMHC, perhaps can go a village meeting to address and explain if and so that whenever they hear this loan that they are hesitant to move forward because of the repayment ability. But if you and the office here, same like Tinian and Saipan, would try to conduct this village meeting with respect to having the resident understand and explain that despite of this as a loan, there are certain criteria that you can benefit out of this. Like, for example, if you loan 200 some thousand, would this 200,000 be a full grant, or would there be a low interest rate, or would how much would I be paying monthly, and upon meeting some time frame of criteria that when I continuously update my payment, what would happen to the future or the balance of my future payment? I don't think the people would understand that, and maybe that's why they are a little bit hesitant to come forward because of the lack of explanation and understanding as to how the CDBG-DR funds availability under this grant can avail their livelihood. So when confirmed, can you consider doing what I recommend, not only maybe from you alone, but probably direct the administrator or the executive director to come forward with this meeting so that will draw interest to our people that can avail for this assistance.
Yes, sir. If confirmed, I'll make sure to get with management and the team here and to let them know that this suggestion just might turn the tide and have people come in.
If only 5% at this point in time, like Mr. Atalik Hokuk has been spent, we have substantial balance that I don't know whether we can finish it in 4 years if the promotion of to provide interest from the eligibility criteria, then I don't think we can spend all this funding in due time. Now, infrastructure development for each municipality. What are these infrastructure eligibility to get this grant to expand their capital improvement projects, such as
Okay.
road?
Yes, sir. So roads, drainage, they have to have a close nexus to the disaster of U2. And so if you do want specifics on what the main criteria are, I can get that for you and send it over to your office. That's
Okay, so my next question is Rota, the senatorial island of Rota. was not really impacted by you two. Can they qualify for this grant to develop their capital projects?
So Mangkut was also a defining factor for the DR to come in.
Come again?
Mangkut, Typhoon Mangkut,
Okay.
that was also a defining factor for DR. So it was both Mangkut and U2.
Okay, so you're telling us now or informing us that the funding will entail also back from Typhoon Mangkut?
As I understand it, yes.
Okay, so we need some clarity of this so we can really come out, Mr. Okok, to have our community be informed of this opportunity. I understand that Tinian and Saipan are the most heated islands that requires probably most of this grant. But if this grant can be extended to the community of Rhoda, particularly to families that needing to build their new house, or can they avail also to purchase land that comes along with the funding to also build a complete housing shelter?
Yes, sir. The Rhoda residents are eligible to avail. They just have to meet the federal requirements, and I do understand that's kind of an issue with our people here, only because the federal requirements are so low. At least average median income is low, but that's something that's out of our control. And that's
Is
why-
there any effort hearing our people concerned? Is there any effort by the corporation to discuss that further with the federal authority in trying to synchronize the assistance to these people rather than focus only on one criteria?
So the average median income is separated based on household size. And so the management has met with our federal partners. They meet regularly every Wednesday, I believe. And that's one of the main issues that we have when it comes to this grant, with other grants as well. But they're pretty strong when it comes to staying the course for their requirements at least. But we have brought it up. It's just something I don't think they're considering.
But one of my issues, Mr. Okok, is that the board of the NMSC can really justify the need. Why are we willing to extend this kind of grant to other families wishing to build and housing or secure their dwelling house? And this also will be seen in the future that by providing a decent, safe housing for a family, that the federal government in the future will spend less in providing financial assistance for repairing and all this. And maybe that vision can be shared for them to understand with this funding, we can really help every members of this community to secure their dwelling house, especially we are in a typhoon area zone that will diminish the assistance in the future to again provide funding to repair and not really fixing it with less cost in the future.
So if confirmed, I'll make sure to bring this back onto the table and have it on the agenda.
Try to be persistent in expressing, the future prevention of continuous repairing every time we experience inclement weather or typhoon. And that probably they will realize that we may make this available at this time for this funding, and it will cut financial assistance in the future for the same purpose as what this funding provided under the CDB GDR. And maybe I know you can reason that out.
Yes, sir.
Does this funding also can this funding be made available to businesses to for recovery of their loss, or can this funding be available for any business to creation of a new business to ensure that it will service the municipality with what business they intend to commit by virtue of this funding making available to them?
I don't believe so. Not for disaster recovery. I think that falls under CEDA or the SBA. I may be incorrect, but I believe it doesn't fall under disaster recovery. I think that falls under, yeah, the Economic Development Office or the Small Business Administration. But I can confirm that right after this.
So when you say this funding is also eligible for vendors, what does that particularly
So
mean?
I'm sorry. So the vendors for the housing section, that means the construction of the houses, the environmental assessments of the houses, and then there's also the historical section 106, I believe. So go to the site, determine whether or not there's any historical artifacts there or remains, and then the actual construction. So those vendors we're having some issues with to get it going. And that's what I meant by vendors.
Okay. So if so this funding can be made available to vendors to undergo those
Construction,
conditions?
yes.
Is it just a strict loan or grant?
Yes, for the citizens applying.
Okay. Let me, for now, Mr. Chairman, while I formulate another areas of concern regarding this funding level.
Thank you, Vice. Now I would like to recognize the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Vinny Sablan.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon to everyone that's still with us here. Good afternoon, Mr. Hokuk. I almost said Mr. Sablan, but Mr. Hokuk. Thank you for accepting your renomination to the NMHC board. I know it's exciting times for NMHC to be able to assist our community members, right, with home dwellings, and then also infrastructure programs. For the record, the CDBG DR, like you said, is broken up to it's broken out to housing programs, and under housing programs, there's three categories under that. Infrastructure programs, that's for the construction of public facilities, roads, and utilities. And then you have the economic development of $8 million and administration of $12 million, then planning of $3.9 million. And the total of those allocations are the actual $324 million. Like Senator Hokuk said, NMHC has 6 years to expend these monies. And that's where kind of our concern is are we going to be able to expend those monies in 6 years? Only time will tell, no? But I'm looking at your citizen-centric report, which is required by law for the departments to report. There are some challenges under the CCR, such as the challenges of construction service and labor, and then also there's other challenges that were listed down here by NMHC. Do you think, are these challenges gonna set us back in reaching the 6 year mark to expend the CDBG DR monies? And what is the plan? Say, is there an option of extension, and has NMHC been working with say the delegate's office or the federal offices in just proactively saying, we may not be able to spend these monies, and if you could give us an extension or come down and see, firsthand for yourselves the challenges that we're facing. Has NMHC put that on the table just to think proactively in case we don't expend the monies in 6 years?
Well, the board and management are very optimistic about spending it in the next 4 years. So the idea of extension hasn't really hit our tables. We haven't talked about it, but that is something that we can do. Again, being proactive is a great thing. But when it comes to the issues that need resolution, the board has always kept an open door policy with management. When it comes to the problems, we're able to sit down and actually talk about it. We don't hide behind anything. If there's issues within the office, we like it up front and center so we can figure out how to solve it. And so this board and the prior board, we have that in mind. Management has no issue telling us whether or not there's a lack of funding here, if there's a lack of personnel, if they need equipment here. They're a proactive bunch. Those guys are really efficient, so I'm really proud to have served with them. But yes, when it comes to problems, we do our best to solve it as quick as possible.
Thank you. And then there's a lot of additional funding aside from the CDBG-DR. You guys have CARES Act funding, right? And that's about 2.4 million into 3 allocations. And there are different community assistance programs that the department has been kind of laying out, right, with that. So just to look at all the information, there's a lot of money that's flowing in through NMHC for public assistance. So I just want to kind of really recommend that the timelines are set forth and to ensure and I'm really a believer of really thinking proactive, anticipating the challenges forward and making sure that we have the solution when we get to that particular road bump. So that's my recommendation for the board to put on the table. Under CDBG-DR allocations, under planning is $3.94347 million. What is the planning? What are those funds? What are they expended for under planning? Is that A&E designing or stuff? Or?
I believe so, but I would have to reach back to at least to the DR team to break it down for what the spending plan is for that planning section. But yes, I can find that out.
And then administration of 12 million. That's the pickup of staff members, right?
Yes, the salary,
salaries,
the building that they're in.
Okay.
Yeah. Main everyday operations.
Okay, so that's good. At least under that funding, there's hiring of staff, which is very, that's a boost for our economy, right? We're giving these people buying power, but there's a lot of things here. I don't have, I don't have a lot of questions. I'm eager for you to get back on and start, continuing the work, right? Because NMHC has a lot of work ahead of them to ensure that we're expending all these monies by the time the 6-year mark comes. Now, November 24, 2026, I think is the 6-year mark. That's right around the corner. The time flies. So I'm hoping that NMHC will be able to expend under roads of $10.6 million. Are you guys working with DPW, or is this a separate effort from NMHC to improve the roads?
NMHC is working with DPW because it's the main roads.
Okay, and then under the total allocations of 254 and the categories that run under the CDBG-DR, how is the percentage broken down into how much money is going to be used for Rhoda and Tinian? Is that a board decision, or was that in the initial planning stages before the award was given? Or is it project based?
I believe it's project based. I don't have any, because even with the housing, the funding is not separated by island. It's overall. Anyone who's going to apply gets the money from the pot. So I don't believe there is a separation or a percentage going to each of the municipalities, but I can confirm that again.
Yeah, because I just asked that because under infrastructure program under roads, the all the senatorial districts could benefit from the improvement of roads, but I'd like to make sure that Rhoda also and Tinian also has a fair share on under that infrastructure program for roads and utilities. So maybe my request is maybe how, like, there's $36 million for utilities. I mean, how is this expended? Can we put in money to purchase a new engine, power plant, or stuff like that? Maybe that's kind of the information we're interested in, because it's general here on the CCR. It just says infrastructure program, 36 million for utilities. But it'll be interesting to know how that could be, or how that's going to be expended, by vouchers, by improving the distribution of power, or improving the generation of power, or water, or wastewater. So maybe like a breakdown, maybe for you to recommend under the next CCR that comes out, the community-centric report, is if they can break that down into, kind of tell us, or under a presentation maybe. So other than that, Mr. Hokuk, I don't have any other questions. I know I can reach out to you anytime to get any detailed information from you in regards to all of this funding that's going through NMHC. But it's really comforting to know that, the next decade, or maybe 2 decades, we're comforted that there's going to be a lot of assistance and improvements to our infrastructure and assistance to our our home dwellers, and that's important for everyone. So I wish you well, good luck, and please continue the good work at NMHC. Okay, I yield my time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Mr. Hokuk,
Good afternoon, Senator Cruz.
in regards to the CDBG Dior, I understand that the NMHC are not accepting any more application for CDBG Dior for disaster recovery, especially this disaster recovery funding is for Typhoon U2 and Mangkut, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, in line with the floor leader in regards to making sure Tinian and Rhoda are available to the program, and I shared it with NMHC staff and the deputy director that I think that the board of directors should look into seeing the percentage of damages between the 3 islands that are affected by U2 and Mangkut. And to be honest, it's more advantageous when people are on the island with the main office whenever there is a concern or needs to be assisted in regards to the application. And I raised this in Tinian during different public hearing with, I believe, DPL, that to be collaborating with agencies, permitting agencies to assist our people in applying that grant, because not everyone are able to, because I understand that I think the application is so thick that you have to complete the whole package. And I asked NMHC if they can assist our people in filling up that application so that they can be assisted and avail to that program. And I believe only a few are on the list that are being approved by NMHC. And I think it's almost a year, right, since they have been approved. And I'm wondering as to what is a holdup and giving them that approval, and so that they can proceed with the project, either loan to build a house or loan to purchase land and house. And we understand that the more we hold that back, commodities keep rising, the price of the purchase will eventually rise. And if, for example, you're given 100,000 and that changes the cost of that because it keeps rising. And the more activity is happening on a signatory, the value of the land rise, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is to alleviate additional costs, because of course the applicant, it will burden the applicant with the additional costs from the regional loan. So I'm just wondering, when will this loan be given to those applicants? And in addition to that, any percentage? Do you guys go by percent? I know you mentioned earlier that it's just one part. Anybody can apply. And even those that don't have any house, they're eligible to apply to build or to buy property and with land or loan to build house on their property. In Tinian and in Rhoda, with the homestead program, I believe there's here in Rhoda, I think 200, in Tinian, about 300 plus. We have issue with EPA in regards to water infrastructure. So I asked Corporate Director J.C. Palacios, would it be possible if the concern of EPA with water infrastructure, would it be possible if an individual purchase or loan and include the water reservoir so that we can address the EPA requirement into that, into that loan, so that's one package, so we can assist these homesteaders with their with the loan. But again, my concern is the application, accepting application is closed. I'm hearing, I don't know whether the money is already up to that level, and I guess the office should assess it and look into the damages per senatorial district, because if it's open and more damages in this senatorial and more approval on that senatorial than less damage, I think I don't see that that's a fair decision for each senatorial district. So can you look into that and see how we can assist? Because I'm still receiving calls from individuals in regards to closing of accepting application, and again, if that's the guideline of federal, I understand that this funding were given by, it's a federal fund, and I think federal allowed the board of directors or the NMHC to choose whichever is stricter, right? On that fund, whichever is stricter. If cinema law is stricter, you follow the stricter law.
Yes, sir.
So is there any way that you guys can assist, and alleviate some of the, the issue, so that we can assist our people in availing to that funding, that federal funds. And again, back to those that NMHC has disclosed in the paper, and that there's some approval from all the three senatorial districts, but the more we hold back on those approval, the costs keep rising in regard, either construction materials or contractors. I think we should move expeditiously on that, unless federal guidelines does not require you guys to, to expeditiously move forward and help them. And I'm pretty sure federal also will look into, the hardship that will occur to applicants. That is, the cost will rise, will change anytime. So again, I ask that you sit down with your colleagues, and I know that I think the deputy executive director is Zini Mafnas that is in charge with that. Can you guys sit down and go over that and see how we can assist our people per damages per sanitary district?
Yes, sir. I have it in my notes.
Thank you. Any other? I recognize Vice Chairman Hokuk.
One area of concern that I'd like to ask you, Mr. Okuk, under this funding, can the municipality avail to secure grant or loan to procure facilities to accommodate health issue patients that are being sent up for a long-term stay, like to the Alano Saipan? Can the municipality avail this funding to use to procure a facility or to renovate a facility, whether it's a grant or a loan? If you don't have the answer to that, maybe it would be good that you look into it and see if you can provide that accessibility. If it can, then I think both Rhoda and Tinian have an issue with respect to facility housing of their patients.
Yes, sir. That's a good question. I haven't heard that one before, so I can look into it.
Okay, thank you.
And one more thing, Mr. Cook, in regards to purchasing land, I understand that an individual cannot purchase land to a immediate family. And I think the problem here is the availability of land. Very hard to find land. The only land that you can find is your family. And I think I heard that a daughter cannot buy land to an uncle or a father. But what if those are the available, the only land available? How can an individual or that particular person avail to the program?
So I don't think that's a restriction, but just let me
Can you look into that? Because I'm hearing
They left.
here in the cinema, most everybody are related. So how can you guys see
I
to
don't-
it that that kind of restriction be removed? Because I believe the only available land is like family land. Those are not family land, but probably are already occupied by investors.
Yes, sir. So I wrote that down only because that's really interesting. I've never heard that before. I don't think I believe there isn't any restriction from buying from anybody really.
Okay.
As long as you're able to buy land, you can even lease land if you're not from here. You can someone who is not an NMD is able to lease land and build a house. So I really do not believe there's a restriction on buying land from immediate family members, and I can confirm that as soon as we're done.
And another thing is, for example, I own 2 houses, and my son or my daughter wishes to buy one of them. I think that's also I think is restricted. I think can you look into those, or even uncle buying from the uncle? Like I said, almost everybody here are related.
Yes, sir.
So can you look into that and see how you can, help out and convince the others? Talk to Corporate Director JC Palacio. He mentioned that once to me that there's some restriction in regards to that that I just mentioned. But like I said, almost everybody are related on the island, especially the smaller island, Tinian and Rhoda.
Yeah, I think this would go really well with the suggestion from Senator Hokuk about the public hearings.
Yeah.
This kind of information we can clarify when it comes to the public hearings, because this is probably why a lot of people haven't come, because they can't find land, and the only land that they can find is from immediate family members. And this is something that we can resolve through public hearings, letting people know.
Thank you, and thank you for your patience and your time. Recognize Floor Leader Sablan.
Thank you, Chairman. Just one last quick one, Vinny, just make sure. I'm looking at the audit report from Deloitte, year 2020. It's an independent auditor's report on internal control and compliance. And you'll have one for 2021 that will be prepared. Just make sure that there's the corrective actions were we're done, no? Just so that we can continue receiving the funds that are being flowed through NMHC. So we want, when the auditors come in for the 2021, it's probably done already. It'll be good to ensure that the staff or the management and the staff of NMHC get the corrective actions and make sure that those things are taken care of, so there could be a difference in the next audit report, so that we won't be affected in receiving more funds in the future. So that's it, just for some recommendations. No, okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Recognize Vice Chairman Hukuk.
Yeah. Mr. Cook, I'm just a little bit concerned about this grant amount. Under whose, or are the funds being credited to Northern Marinas Housing Authority already, the total amount of 254, or it's a drawdown type basis according to what is committed?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if it's in our account or if it's based on usage. And so that's something I can get to you too.
Maybe look into that, because if that amount of funding is not under the possession of the NMHC, then that doesn't really encourage the board of directors, the staff, to commit when they don't have it. So it is important to understand or to know that the custody of these funds, is it already transferred from the grantor to the development plan account under the NMHC? Because if you don't have the funds, and I'm only telling you that I will give you $5, but if you don't have that $5, you feel hesitant to spend that $5. But if I send that $5 to your account, you'll be excited how to use that $5. So look into that. And let us know.
Yes, sir.
That's the end of my question of concern. And I yield to you back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice. At this time, all public comments are well taken. Let the record reflect that there's also written testimony submitted from individuals in support of the appointee before this committee, and will be included in the Senate Standing Committee recommendation report, along with all testimonies to be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation or rejection. And before we adjourn, I would like to extend, on behalf of the members of this Standing Committee, our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Governor Torres' representative, Ms. Jackie King, the appointee, Mr. Vinnie Atalik Hukuk, and most especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important public hearing process. And we certainly hope that we continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public, to keep you abreast and informed of our current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to public best interest. This concludes this public hearing for today. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? There's a motion and was seconded for adjournment. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is now adjourned. I would like also to thank the mayor office, Mayor Efren Atalik, for giving us the opportunity to utilize the mayor's office conference hall. I appreciate, and I apologize to the departments that are here for all the noises that we created since this morning. And again, thank you for giving us this the opportunity to utilize the conference hall. Jesus Masi, and good afternoon.